Go, go, go. That's the song that I posted our thing with today.
Oh,
Our
did I
little
want to?
social media.
Oh, nice. I didn't see it. I dropped
No,
the
it's
ball.
okay. You're good. You're
Dropped the
good. We've
ball.
got a lot of plates moving here. What's
I,
up, David?
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
Good. Shall we do it? Shall we
Let's do
pod?
it. Let's pod
Maybe
with a period. Let's go.
an
Um,
exclamation point.
yeah, absolutely. How you doing?
We're back.
We're back.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all
Yeah.
right. I am hanging in there. I get very excited about coming into the pod with you. I recently just had to stop going to therapy for insurance reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And this, as I was prepping for the pod today, I was like, wow, this feels like another form of therapy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it
So
does for the people listening too, and not just for us. But at the same time,
even
it doesn't.
still,
Whatever, man.
yeah.
We're getting
Hashtag
something out of it.
relatable.
Absolutely.
Hashtag relatable.
Yeah.
Um, how are you?
I'm hanging in there too. I'm trying to ride the good stuff and not let the bad stuff like sit too long in my brain. And not let it overtake the good, because there's good, but it's like, yeah. This
Yeah.
this whole choice of vocation, sometimes wants to beat you down, and it's a little bit tough to see the forest through the trees sometimes. But we'll talk about it today.
Yeah. This is a really nice anchor to come back to
I agree.
for
Yeah.
each other and ourselves.
And to remember what the why is, I think, is
Yeah.
always helpful in here, to like talk to other creative people who, you know, don't have everything figured out too, because I don't think anybody ever does. And but like are still successful in their own right, but still having the same, like, it's good. It all feels, like you said, relatable.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's break some ice so we can get into the good stuff, yeah?
Let's do it. I hope you brought some. I didn't bring one today.
Oh, you know I always got some
I know.
ices to break. Is that
I was ready.
I shouldn't say ices. That's bad. Let me know. Rewind.
Icicles to break. Ice
Icicles to break.
cubes to break.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually really an interesting one for you and I, because I noticed
Okay.
this last night. But as we send voice notes to each other and to our friends and to our people, I noticed that you keep them.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
You what? You didn't know that you could keep them?
No, I didn't. Am I like purposefully keeping them? God, I feel 182 right now. No, so voice texting, my friend Jason has voice texted forever, and I never understood it. And you are the first person that I like kind of dove into it literally within the last 2 weeks since we last potted. We've been voice
This is
texting
a
more.
brand new thing for you, using
Yeah,
voice texts.
I've never, because I communicate with words a lot, probably overly so. So yeah, I've never really done the voice text thing. And like there've been a couple other people, like the sportscaster in Chicago, Ryan, that I work with when I go do stuff with ABC there. He was texting me at one point. He's like, I hope it's okay that I just voice text. And I was like, this seems to be a thing that more people currently are doing. And I just never, it wasn't like a resistance. I just never, it wasn't, I didn't ever feel like natural doing it. I was always conscious of like what I was saying. And when we started doing it, I was like, no, this is actually kind of great. As long as you're talking to somebody who also appreciates it, that it's like, can get long
Yes,
winded and whatever. But
for
like,
sure. And you
yeah,
know, my voice notes get very long-winded. You try and keep it very short because you're a people pleaser and you are very cognizant of people's time. Me, I'm
indeed.
just like, I have things to say, so I'm saying them, and then I apologize at the end.
Yeah. It's and Allie had one this morning, like from a makeup artist, that I think went 3 long, and then like filled up each one. So like there were, like a lot to say. So, like again, if people, it helps to eliminate the potential of misreading somebody's text type.
Yes,
So like you can feel a
absolutely.
period as like like somebody's in a bad mood or something. And with the voice text, you hear in their voice where they're at, and they bring their energy with the words. And so like I in the last 2 weeks, I'm
You appreciate
dabbling
it
and
a
I
little bit
appreciate it.
more.
I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But I
do
didn't know I
think
could
that
keep them.
You are keeping them because I get notifications that you've kept my voice notes or
Oh, I
voice
don't have
text,
to.
whatever. There's a little button. Once you're done listening to it, there's a little button underneath it that says keep, right?
Oh, but I'm not clicking
And
it.
you're not?
No, mine must be set to just autosave.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that's taking up a lot of space in your phone. So
That's
you
good.
don't have to
Appreciate
keep
you.
all of the voice notes. I
Okay,
thought it was
done.
an intentional thing that you were doing.
No.
But and I was like, do you listen to them later? Do you like listen to
Go
me and my
back to it and just
stories?
yes. The sweet musings of Tiffany Daniels keeps me going. Yeah, no, I had no idea that I'm gonna have to check. I feel bad as an Apple person. I feel ashamed that
Oh
I
yeah.
need to turn in my Apple card because that's like it's a new thing for me, and I didn't realize that my settings probably are just like keeping them because I'd never click a button to say keep. I know that for sure.
Interesting. Okay. Well, the
They're just
question, the
there.
icebreaker was like, why are you
Oh.
keeping them? Or
What's wrong with you?
no, it's okay. A
Ew,
lot of people
David.
keep them. I do voice texting with a lot of people just because people are on the go and it's easier to just kind of like talk into your phone instead of like using your thumb so much. So I do voice
Yeah.
texting with a lot of people, but a lot of my girlfriends keep the
Oh.
voice notes. Are we
Just had
having
a minor
malfunctions over
earthquake
there?
here. Just hit the whole desk with my knee. We're good. Just sit still, David. Got
And
some frenetic energy today.
it's just interesting to see when people are keeping them. I'm like, what are we keeping them for? Do you ever go back and re-listen to them? I never keep them because I'm like, okay, the message is there, it's done,
Yeah.
like we're moving on.
Which is what's
But
great about it. It's very in the moment, like, and then you're
yeah.
moving on and not going back to the text that had a period. Really, what the? You
Yeah.
mean?
And I
Yeah.
think the generation below us, which is what, Gen Z? No,
Z.
Gen
Gen
Z. I
Zorro.
don't
Yep.
I don't think that they even use punctuation at all. And it's
I know.
like it's a
Or
tell, like
capitalization.
it's a giveaway that you're like old
I
if
know.
you're using
I
punctuation
know.
in your texting. And I'm
I know.
confused by that. I don't
Hey.
understand. Clarity is clarity.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would like to know the
That's
weirdest
funny.
type of videos that are popping up in your algorithm right now.
My personal one, I assume, because
Sure.
my Swirsky one's pretty like
Sports
consistently
heavy.
sports. Which today, breaking news, I'm gonna have to like see if I can write a song like as soon as we're done with this. But
See if
uh,
you're gonna be able to trust.
well, I don't know. We'll see. It's yeah, bad news broke about Caleb Williams today, so we'll see. I got to get into that. In my personal feeds, weirdest stuff.
What's something
I
weird that's
started
popped
watching
up?
this. I started watching this little kid who's like a chef. He's like very British, but he's like
Oh,
adorable, and he makes stuff. I'm going to make the cake now, and it's like, and he's just like, is this adorable little child? And so I watched that, and then I think that sent me down a rabbit hole of some very weird cooking videos, and also all of a sudden, I will say that I did notice that because I told Allie this. I was like, I don't know why these are showing up on my feed all the time as I'm like mesmerized watching it. It's like food's getting made on a conveyor belt where it's like this like super satisfying thing of like watching like, I don't know, chocolate balls get made and go through the machine and like drip chocolate on them and like watch that whole fucking thing. Yeah. So I
I
guess
love it.
weird food stuff right now.
I just think it's so interesting. You watch one video just a little too long, and now your whole feed has
Yeah,
completely changed.
absolutely. What's yours?
Uh, skipping dogs. Dogs
Skipping
that skip.
dogs. Ah,
Yeah.
that's a good one though, because that'll lead you down a great path of happiness
Yeah.
and rainbows and sunshine. Because
Yeah.
dog videos, like, it is always like something to
Yeah.
joke about. That like, oh, dog videos on TikTok, but like they can really brighten your day because dogs are the
Oh,
best. Speaking of which,
100%. Oh, there's Lucy.
Lucy's making an appearance. There she
Yeah,
is.
I this video of this dog, she opened the door to her owner's bedroom in the morning with her nose. She skipped very slowly and gently over to the bed, and then she released an egg onto the
Oh my god.
bed. Oh,
Okay, that's
I
something.
was like,
Like a whole egg.
wow, like a whole egg. It was just in
All
her
right.
mouth. She was like, "Good
Like
morning,
time for breakfast.
time
Go
for
cook this.
breakfast."
Hey, I
Yeah,
gotta train Lucy to do that. I love eggs. That's like
that's
that's my
a
superfood.
good. It's a good one.
Dog videos will
Uh,
never let you down.
Never. My last icebreaker for you today, my friend, is, well, I'm going to Vegas next week on a job.
Heyo.
So it's a Vegas related one. If you were given
Okay.
250 bucks, just
Okay.
easy, light work,
I like that.
250 bucks, where or how would you gamble it? Or like what would you do with it in Vegas?
Like, what kinds of things would I gamble on? Like, what games would I play?
I mean, I guess the question originally was like how would you gamble it? But I guess if you were given like a light work 250 bucks, here's play money in Vegas. What
Yeah.
would you do with it?
I would go get this really weird drink that I had with my friends last time I went first. That'd start there. And it was like, it had some weird flour in it and it like makes your mouth numb. It was, I can't remember what it was, but it was like really, really weird. And like they crush up this flour in this drink and our friends Mel and Dustin told us about it. And like, it's weird. And it's not like a hallucinogenic kind of a thing, but it's like almost adjacent to it. It's like, it's a weird sort of like, your mouth tingles and it's strange. And this flour is supposed to have these like weird kind of properties and they serve it at this one bar. So I'd start there because that was kind of cool and different. And I
Okay.
wouldn't want to spend money on it of my own, but I'll spend your money on it.
Yeah.
And then, and then I would probably play a lot of blackjack. Blackjack is the only one that I feel like
Okay.
I know well enough to sit at a table and not piss off the people that are there all the time. Like poker, I would
Okay.
love to say I could do that, but I'd be really intimidated because I don't think I know the Vegas version of poker rules well enough to not look like a noob. But like blackjack, I've has always been my table game if I go, and I feel like there's some skill involved instead of like cha-chink, like pulling, like a lever on
Yeah.
a slot machine or something. So like I would probably just play it all on blackjack.
Okay.
I would gamble it. Like I'd probably do one of those where it's like $100 a bet because I had the money, like at least one time, just like one
Whoa.
hand. And if I won that, then I would go to like a lesser table, but still more expensive, like 50. And I would
Okay.
just play there until probably lost it all because that's usually what happens.
I
I
love
do
this.
video poker too. So if I started to run out of money, we'd move to video poker because there's no intimidation there. That's just, you know, me and the computers.
Okay.
What about you?
I really don't even know if I have an answer to this question. I was given 250 bucks the last time I went to Vegas,
Okay.
and
Where's
it
your
was
resume?
I'm not really a big gambler, but I did sit down at the roulette table. That's the one with
Oh,
the
wow.
round thing, right?
Yeah.
I sat down at the
Yeah.
roulette table and I just like, threw out some numbers and I ended up with 400 bucks and I was like, "Okay, I'm good.
Whoa,
I'm out.
nice. Nice
I'm
work.
out. I'm out.
That's
I'm
the
out."
hardest thing to do is when you win to actually like walk because you
Yeah.
always feel like you could win again.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm going to be gambling this time in Vegas, but TBD. I'll get back to you on
All
the
right.
next
Let
pod.
me know. Absolutely. All right.
Those are my icebreakers.
Ice has been broken. Nice
Ice has
work.
been broken.
Do we talk
Spoiler
about what we're
alert.
watching? Yeah.
Well, we have to wrap up Righteous Gemstones, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't talked about that
We haven't
since
talked about it.
that's the only one that's like ended since we talked, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
How did no, I want to know how you felt, David, because you've had opinions about Righteous Gemstones this season.
I Allie and I watch it together. So what's cool is like I have a sounding board for those thoughts like right away. And I think we were more aligned in it. And we both kind of looked at each other and we're like, like we know what it is, right? And in my
Yeah.
mind, like I think we sort of felt the same way. Well, like you know what you're signing up for. It was so ridiculous. And this season to me was like the most far out there. Like every other season kind of had like some sort of weird dramatic thing. Like the one had the car chases and the motorcycle gang and like all these like weird things like kind of come up. And this year's version of that was the ex-husband of Megan Mullally's character who like has the crocodile farm and like that gets real dark. And then the last episode with Stifler, I can't think of his name.
Stifler.
Sean. No,
Sean. Yeah, that
is it
sounds
Sean
right.
something?
Yeah.
Sean William Scott.
Nice. Well
Is
done.
that right? I think that's right.
I don't know.
And his
Stifler.
like, I kind of called that he was going to have something to do with this, like, because it felt like it wasn't enough for it to just be the crocodile guy who showed up for like 3 episodes and then he's dead and then we're done. But just like the storylines were kind of weird. I don't know. Like again, you know what you're signing up for with it. It's slapsticky. It's like, it still made us laugh. And I think at the end of the day, that's like, we kept watching it knowing what it was not giving me in terms of story or whatever else. And then I actually saw his rap video on Instagram, Danny McBride's, of the last shot, you know, and he was talking to everybody around the table and he started getting choked up. And he said, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly, but it was more or less like, we did this thing. We did it in our backyard because they shot it in South Carolina where he now lives. And I'm assuming other people that make the show live there too, because he's pretty big on like, he loved LA, but then once he left, he like was so glad he doesn't live in LA anymore, kind of a thing, and gets to still do his thing without having to, you know, do the rat race of being here. He can just fly
Love
in and
that.
fly out.
Bravo.
But he said like, we did it in our backyard. We did it on our terms. And it's what filmmaking should be. It's like working with kind people who are, you know, in it for the right reasons, and all just like have a good time and want to like crack each other up and do great work together. And I was like, that since we did comic book has always been my thing of like, what I want out of this career is to work with, like, you know, it's the reason I want to work with you again. It's the reason I want to work with the people that I've worked with again, is like, when you make good relationships in this industry, it is kind of like summer camp, but if you can like have that same feeling like over and over again with people that you truly like care about, and like you want the show to be successful because we all want everybody to be successful as like a team, like that's so great. And he got like choked up saying it, and I was like, oh man, like all my negative energy about the show like felt like it went out the window, because I was like,
Aw.
that's like exactly what it should be. And to try to make it something else was like taking that show and trying to put a different expectation on it that it's not. It never told me it was going to be that, right? Like it told me exactly what it was going to be, and it kept delivering
Yeah.
that. It was ridiculous till the end. It made me laugh every episode sometime. And other times I was like, shit, this got dark. But like, it was
Yeah.
what it was. So that's where I ended up with
Yeah.
it.
I've said it before. I think this series was a masterclass in dark comedy for sure.
Yeah.
And I do think that this particular episode took me on very much that roller coaster of darkness and comedy and
Yeah.
everything in between.
Yeah.
I thought that they did a really good job wrapping up this ridiculous series.
Yeah.
100%. There was some things like logistically, like they're all three running away from Stifler. What's his name?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Stifler. Michael Jackson coded Stifler. Yeah.
They're all three running away in this massive house, and some are running upstairs, and some are like they're so
Yep.
spread out throughout the house. And then how all of a sudden, after each one of them is shot, that they all come crawling,
crawling.
back to meet each other in the middle.
I thought that they were going to die. I truly thought that was where we were
I
going. I was like, oh my God, they killed the sister.
They
Like
initially.
initially.
They killed.
And I was like, well, Danny
all of
McBride's
them.
dead now. He got shot 7 times. I was like, oh, he's dead too. And then they all
exactly.
are able to pray. Like, I was like, whatever.
They took us on an absolute journey for sure with this one. But honestly, David, okay, do you remember the character's name of the gay siblings, like
Keith.
fiance, Keith.
He's
Keith.
insane and like hilarious, but also like might be insane. I want to know if in real life, like we've said it multiple times watching, we're like, I wonder what this dude's like in real life. Cause he's so good at being so out there.
Normal. He would probably be the one that I would want to hang out with the most, I think.
Yeah.
But the piece of this episode that I loved the most, David, and I don't even know like if anybody even really caught it, but I just loved when they showed his parents.
Oh, I know.
Wedding.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, the whole wedding scene at the end was great.
No, nothing. I was just like, oh my gosh, like it explains so much.
It made so much sense.
Just like seeing his parents, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, what a touch. Like
Yep.
the details of this final episode, the same way that I spoke of You and how they wrapped up that series really well. I do feel like, as outrageous and ridiculous as the show was, I do feel like they did a great job wrapping it up.
Yeah. That's, I don't know what else you would have done. And I like that it ended on a happier note too, with like a little bit of like, you could see where it leads from there in a happy way. Like, because it's so um like they're so brutal to each other, like in terms of like insults, and like they,
Yeah.
as like part
Yeah.
of the appeal, that like to see them all kind of like love each other at the end still, and like through it all, it was kind of nice. So
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
yeah,
Righteous Gemstones, well
I'll miss it.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I
Same.
wonder. I wonder what he'll do next. Like, because he seems to have a cycle with HBO to just kind of like Eastbound and
Keep
Down, and then the Vice
going.
Principals, and then this one. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what's next from Mr. McBride.
Yeah.
Um, are you watching Hacks? We never talk about Hacks.
No, we watched the first season, and then
Mhm.
I think I kind of fell off with it. I don't know
Okay.
why. I need to
All
probably
right.
revisit it because everybody says it's great. I remember laughing a lot, and I do remember liking it. I don't remember why that one just kind of slipped out of our radar.
Yeah, I would be curious to see
I'll
if
make a note.
you, yeah, revisit and see what it feels like to you. Because everyone's talking about the studio and how much of a love letter to Los Angeles that
Yeah.
is.
God,
But
that Golden Globes
Hacks,
episode.
oh my gosh, I know. I know. But Hacks is giving a very similar love letter to LA, but in a very different way, you know.
Okay.
In the season that she's in now, it's like the first time we're seeing a female in late night,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a very interesting
Is
topic.
this year
So,
3 or 4?
gosh, I want to say 4, but
Okay.
I might
You
be
can
making
gobble
that
up
up.
HBO shows pretty quick though, because they're like 30
Yeah.
minutes too, I think, right?
Yeah. That one's like a 30 minutes. So let me know. But the studio,
Oh my God, that
what?
episode.
Well, and there's a new one. Did you watch the newest one too?
No, we are behind.
Okay.
So Allie had literally had to
I
go to San
saw.
Bernardino at 8 a.m. and then the next day had a 3:30 a.m. call time in Santa Monica. So
A
those two
working
back to
woman.
back made
No
our
TV
I
for you.
no, and I don't watch it without her because we all watch the same show. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Golden Globes episode. I mean, I just don't understand why the studio just has to be chaos. Like it feels like in the beginning, maybe if every single episode is like, oh, all right, and then at some point it's just like a fucking tornado, and it just
yeah,
doesn't stop.
yeah, and you were right. We actually we talked about your reaction to it of like it's like that Meet the Parents kind of a thing where it's like the worst
Yes.
version of things like is going to happen, and it does, and he is. It makes me like anxious every episode because he's so like brutally awkward about so many things where you're like, dude, just just don't like don't give in to your worst instinct, like
What?
just don't do it. But
Yes.
like but the reason the show's so great is because he can't help himself, and it's like that one I just again like the amount of like long takes they do, and the amount of extras required for that one, and the amount of like set production. And there was some article, I didn't get to read it, I think Hollywood Reporter did it, of like, yes, they actually recreated the Golden Globes and like how they did it, so to speak, because like the cameos, like I mean like that show is just like it's intense. Like what I remember Entourage used to be in terms of like getting
Yeah.
so many actual actors to play themselves. This brings that
Yes.
same kind of spirit back, which is kind of fun because it's this weird like breaking the fourth wall thing with the actors too, where they're clearly not really playing themselves, but they are playing themselves, and I love
Right.
that. So yeah,
Right. A
it's a good
very
show.
like hyperbolized version of themselves for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, he Seth drops a line in this most recent episode, and me saying it's not going to give anything away, but he finally admits like why he goes so hard with
Oh,
some
okay.
of these things. He literally just says, "I desperately need people to think that I am cool."
Hmm.
And I
That
was
makes
like,
total sense.
it makes total sense. And it's so, again, circling back, hashtag relatable.
Yeah.
Like, that is what I feel like social media in just across the board has become. Like, everybody in this game desperately needs people to think that they are doing shit, that they are like constantly like thriving.
Yeah.
And I what I appreciate so much about the space that we are holding for each other here is like we can actually talk about moments that we're not always thriving, and there's not always something really magical happening on this journey in the creative life, period.
Well, that seems like a very, very like logical and easy transition into just talking about the industry and where we're at in our lives and stuff like that. So keep going. Say more.
Yeah, I mean, it's gosh, social media just in general has become a very challenging place for me. One, because I'm running a social media account for somebody else for a theater. And so it's really occupying so much of that time that I would be dedicating to my own social media space. So when I do dip into my own, I'm overwhelmed with people like overcompensating,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's a crazy time to be here because there's so much uncertainty, and it's like a different level of uncertainty. Because I think once you jump on the once you join the circus, once
Mm-hmm.
you join Los Angeles and dive into this entertainment life, there's it just comes with a bag of uncertainty, right? And you're just
Yeah.
carrying that bag of uncertainty with you like throughout your entire journey until maybe
Yep.
you're not. And I don't even know if that's an accurate statement, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had a I would say a small bit of success in this industry, but
You have had success for real.
I have
You have.
tasted it. I have absolutely
Yeah.
tasted that. But it feels really far removed from me now and where I'm at in my
Mm-hmm.
journey, because it's been a couple years since that particular job ended. And now
Yeah.
I'm in this mental headspace of like, okay, I did it before. Can I do it again? Is that even possible? Did I peak already? Did I achieve what I'm going to achieve in this business and this world? Because the industry is not necessarily allowing me to find it again, at least in the current climate that we're in. And it's crazy being on the other side of that because, even though it's 2 years out from me and my own personal experience, because of social media and because of, you know, me even having that little bit of success on my back, like there's still people that I'm running into, like somebody that I'm on this job with that I'm going to Vegas with, that just came up to me the other day at rehearsal and was like, "Man, you're doing so great. It's so incredible to like see all the stuff that you're doing." And I'm sitting in my space of like, I haven't done anything in like 2 years. I don't even I feel so far removed from that level of success. And it's 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 it feels like even more pressure when people are celebrating the success that I've had in the past. It feels like more pressure for me to be able to get back there. And I'm just
Yeah.
like uncertain as to how.
Whew. Man, there's a lot to unpack right there. That's the yeah. I mean, I think that for better or worse, and no matter what level of specifically this career that people get to, I don't think that ever goes away. And I think that's even why, like, at a whole nother level, like there's commercials now that I'm noticing where like all the people that are on Modern Family that like had the gravy train of one of the best residual structures probably before it all got broken ever. Like
Yeah.
they were in such syndication and they were like making like bank on that
Yeah.
syndication. And it was like right at that time that it went from cable syndication into streaming. And then the streaming thing really broke how so many people made their living. So like no matter if you were like at one tax bracket or another tax bracket or another tax bracket, that version of making money in this industry was a big piece of how people survived. And
Yeah.
so I've had the same thoughts of seeing some of those commercials. Like there was like one for IHOP that the mom on that show, I don't remember her actual name. I feel bad about that, but she's from Happy
Julia.
Gilmore too. Julie Bowen. Bowen.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, bam. Nailing those today. But she had like one line. It was like a kid got in the car, and I think she just like looks at him and goes, "IHOP," and that was like it. And I was like, man, like that seems like a weird. And it's like, but I mean, like everybody's got to whatever. Like my perception of her is, you had this gravy train of residuals, and then like it dries up, and what are you gonna do? You start to do other things, like the girl from The Office, the redheaded girl who has done lots of comedy stuff. Like she's now Cole's mom, like in a commercial. And it's like,
Hmm.
it's, I think that it's all, The perception of what success looks like in this industry and in this world is, it's very loaded, and you bring a lot of, you know, loaded expectations in with what success is, and then you sort of expect like that thing is going to like help you break down another wall, or climb another, you know, level or
Oh,
whatever that is. And it's not
absolutely.
really like that for most people, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's obvious that we are in a very different space in the industry, and things
Mm-hmm.
are continuously changing and evolving, and like I understand that. But I think the misconception that I had, and maybe some actors that are still, you know, building their resumes might have, is that like once you get that series regular,
Mm-hmm.
your life is completely different. Your life changes
Totally.
forever. You
Yep.
know, we just I was working so hard just to get that credit. And though while on the show, it was a life-changing experience, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But one would think that that would be enough to help me get to the next gig and help me get to the next job. And I am
Yep.
2 years out from being a series regular, and I have been clawing and fighting and trying so hard. My Some of my reps are even looking at like, you know, decent sized co-stars for
Yeah.
me to be taking, you know. It's co-star, guest star, like some of that line can get very blurry sometimes. It's literally sometimes just about money, um
Mm-hmm.
and not actually like what the character is bringing to the episode or whatever. But yeah, it's I just imagined that being able to go back into the audition world after having a series regular on my resume, it was going to look and feel very different than it has for the last 2 years.
Man, that's, I mean, that's, I think probably really, it's, it sucks to hear, but also I think it's going to be helpful to people to hear too, because I think everybody's on their own version of a journey where, you know, they probably want more, or, you know, all of those things. But I would have assumed it would feel different too. You know what I mean? Like
Of
it's tough to
course.
hear that it doesn't. So how are you doing with that since you don't have your therapist? Let me ask. So how is that? How are you feeling about that? And how are you making it through? I mean, cause I think that's the real talk about this is like, the shit ain't easy. And there are days that really suck. So how are you keeping yourself, I don't know, going
Well, you
after it?
know,
Cause you still do.
I do. I'm still very much auditioning, and I have a wonderful team of people that still very much believe in the power of Tiffany Daniels, particularly in moments and days when I feel less less belief in that. But
Mm-hmm.
I have made sure to recently. I've had meetings with both my agents and my managers just to kind of like get us all on the same page. And you know, my
Yeah.
managers are not typically, they've never been the type to procure work. Managers, that's not necessarily their job, is to like go
Mm-hmm.
after opportunities for you. Their job is to manage your career and manage everything that goes into your career. So they have taken it upon themselves as well as my agents to continue submitting me on things. And I've gotten, you know, a handful of my things that I've auditioned for have come from my management, and a handful have come from my agent. So it's really nice that I have both people working on that now,
Mm-hmm.
because there is less opportunities out there across the board anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm out here surviving, you know. I've always had other skill sets besides acting, and I have been able to maintain like utilizing those skill sets to keep me moving and grooving in the industry, not always in the ways that I necessarily would like or envision, but I'm super thankful. There's a sketch comedy show that I used to be on called Sherman Showcase, and we were on IFC and Hulu for 2 seasons, and now they've transitioned this into a live show.
Nice.
And we're doing a live version of the show at the House of Blues in Las Vegas next week. And I'm really excited to be back with my sketch comedy people and, like, dancing in this show and acting in this show. And we're having a great time putting
Yeah.
it all together. So it's nice to just have like little other things that keep me in the world.
Yeah.
Um, I did have, oh gosh, David. I had a meeting, chemistry read
Ah, yeah.
thing
Okay. You teased this to me, and I need to
yesterday.
know all about it. Yes.
Yeah,
What
so
happened?
I auditioned for
Well, explain to
a
people that don't know what a
film.
chemistry read is too. Yeah.
Yeah, so, down once you get far enough in the audition process for a project, they want to make sure that you vibe with the other actors that they're thinking about working with, and like just making sure that it's going to be like good energy between y'all and good energy on set and all kinds of things. Like it is in for all intents and purposes a read of your chemistry with
Yeah.
other people. um so I had auditioned for this film, an independent film, and I ended up getting a callback, which just involved like me retaping more scenes. So the initial audition was a self-tape with 2 scenes. The callback was 2 different scenes in the movie. They ended up going a different direction, as these things often pan out that way. No big
Sure.
deal. I was very proud of my work that I did. And I was proud that like I had gotten a call back and I was moving farther along in the process. But they reached out to me personally, not through my team. They reached out to me personally and said, like, though we went a different direction, there's another project that we're associated with that we think that you would be really great for. And they want to offer you this role in this
Oh wow.
film, pending a meeting with the writer director.
Okay.
And I was like, okay,
Wait, chemistry read with the writer director? Oh
hold
man, I
on.
can't. Okay, sorry.
Hold on.
I'm so excited
So
to
I was like, okay, so I almost have the job, but I need to go and like just he just
get
needs
to
to
know the
like
director.
see
Sure.
me or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
initially they said, can you just send us your email address? We'll send you the script. And they did that. And then they within that same email they said, can you meet the writer director tomorrow at 4 o'clock? And I was like, actually 4 o'clock is kind of pushing it because I have a survival job, I teach fitness, and I have to teach
Mm-hmm.
at 5. So that's not really going to work, but I can meet you a little bit earlier, or like I can always meet through Zoom. And they were trying to coordinate that, and they came back and they were like, okay, great, we're going to do 3 o'clock at this address. And we're like, okay. So
What address?
me exactly. Me
A
being
business?
like,
A house?
a woman of smaller stature, and like, okay, well, let me at least like
I'm
check what this
uncomfortable for you.
address is. Yes. Let me just check what this address is. And you know how Google Maps gives you a little photo. It is
Yeah.
absolutely a house in Glendale. Just a
Okay.
house. And I was
Okay.
like, I'm
I'm
getting my
withholding
management.
judgment. Yeah.
I know. I'm calling my management. I'm getting my management team involved.
Yeah.
So I was like, they need to coordinate all of this. You need to like suss this out for me because I don't understand what any of this is.
Cause
So
ick. Yeah.
because ick.
Potential ick.
So
Potential
they get
ick.
on the
Yeah.
phone and they're like, and she says, okay, I've spoken to them. It feels like it's a legit thing. If you feel more comfortable, I can go with you. But I think that you will be okay. But
Okay.
let us know when you're there and let us know when you leave.
Oh no.
So I walk in and immediately this man is like, I hope somebody told you that I'm gay. And I was like,
Oh,
okay.
like first words out of
No,
his mouth?
first words, because I think that he sensed that I was feeling resistant of showing up to some dude's house in Glendale.
Yeah.
So he's like, I hope somebody told you that I'm gay. And like, I'm not trying to, do anything with you. I was like, no, nobody told me that, but thank you for letting me know.
Great.
So then we sit down and he's telling me a little bit more about the project. And, it's, I, I think everybody in Hollywood thinks that they are a bigger deal than they actually are.
Sure.
So
Everybody's got to sell themselves all the
he's
time.
presenting this to me as though like this is the hottest ticket on the docket right now. And okay. And then he proceeds to tell me, which is a whole nother can of worms that we can open up later because you and I have very different experiences with this. But then he proceeds to tell me, when I found out that you were 5'2", I didn't think that you had enough gravitas for this role. I didn't think that you were powerful enough to be able to um,
Ooh.
embody this role because you're so small. And I was like, wow, okay. I wonder how many times that conversation has been brought up.
Oh
They ask
no.
you to slate your height in every single
Yeah, you
audition
can't
you
run
put on
from it.
tape. You can't run from it. And
I'm like, hey,
you,
I'm a giant, and you're like, hey,
you're
I'm not. Yeah.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So we
You
could
know this before
definitely
you've
start.
watched my tape. Yes,
Yeah, we can circle back to this because I know you have very strong feelings about
I
this as
do.
well. But I was like, wow, okay, well, I appreciate you looking past my height because, let me tell you, there's a lot of
And then you wanted to flex
there's
on him and say, excuse me,
there's
let me
a
show you
lot of
my
energy in this little
ferocity.
5'2" body, okay, buddy. Anyway,
Wow.
so the
Okay.
role is written for an older black woman, and we sit down. He's as he's telling me about the script, he just wants to like run some of these scenes through with me. I'm like, cool. Now
Okay.
I haven't read the entire script because I literally had just gotten it the night before, so I'm familiar enough with the character, but I haven't gotten to page 120
Sure.
of this film. But he wants to run through basically like every single scene of this film with me. And then
Jeez.
he says to me, David, just so you know, I'm big on line readings. And I was like, okay. Um, that could go both ways of like,
Sure.
I'm big on line readings, meaning like I'm big on like not doing that, or I'm
Sure.
the other way. I am
Right. I'm going to tell
absolutely
you
going to
exactly how to
tell you
act.
exactly how this goes. And it
Right.
ended up being the latter.
Oh,
So
God.
this man, who's probably in his 60s, white, maybe Hispanic, I'm not really sure, proceeds to line read these words to me as a black woman.
Oh, no. That's so.
And he's telling me the archetypes that he's built this character around, and they are from like 80s sitcoms. And this is like, a dramatic feature film, but
Sure.
like you want me to act like a caricature of black women. And so I start reading, and I'm he didn't want me to act at all, David. I'm looking at
Mm,
the thing and I'm trying to like, as a cold read, you're looking, but you're sending energy through and you're
sure.
trying to connect with your other person. And he's like, you don't need to look at me. I just need to hear you.
Oh,
And
God. It keeps
and
getting
then
worse, Tiffany.
I know. And then he's like, he's like, what? This is what she needs to be like, girl. You need to be like, da, 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 da. And I was like, oh my gosh.
No.
So you don't care about acting here. You, as the writer, just
Hmm.
want to hear the voice that you created for this character in your head. You need to hear
Hmm.
somebody else do that. So eventually, I literally was just like, I'm going to say this line the way that I would say it. I know that he's going to stop me. I know that he's going to correct me. And
Oh,
the,
Lord.
the craziest part about it is like, I don't understand really what the difference is. Like, I don't know what you just said versus what I said. I don't know what the difference is because I'm 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 telling you exactly what is on the page, but you just need me to be a little bit more black for you. in
Oh
order to
man.
sell this. And um
Oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
that was exactly what I was about to say, David. Immediately I was uncomfortable. I was clenching my hands together. I was like trying not to let my eye twitch because sometimes my
Mm-hmm.
face is just like a dead giveaway. But after we went through this whole thing, um I had to leave. Obviously, I had a hard out, and then on the way out he was like, "Oh, and by the way, this is a trilogy. There's 3 of these." And that was what sealed the deal for me. I was like, wow, I was just envisioning myself connected to this project for 3 films of being
Of
line
that being the
read,
vibe. Uh huh.
and that being the energy. And I was so upset, David, as I left that whole experience, because one, I went into it super excited that I was
Yeah.
like being offered
One
something,
hundred
that
percent.
I worked really hard on my auditions for this other project that led me to this offer of
Yep.
this other gig.
And that has to mean
And
something. You have to hold on to that. Yep.
yes, but I feel like the success that I have had and I have created for myself all the way up into this point is because have been a yes girl, right? I've said
Mm.
yes to so many things because you just never know when that opportunity is going to lead you to something else, right? Like that's what this
Yep.
business is. It's all about like the connections that you make along the way, and the impressions that you leave with people along the way and along the journey. And I've literally have just been like, yes, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. I know there's something to be learned from every single opportunity. So yes, yes, yes. And I had to say no to this because of my integrity, and because of, you know, the worth and the value that I feel like I can bring to something. I was going to be really, really miserable in this experience if I said yes. And that at this stage of my life and at this stage of the game just did not feel worth it to me.
That's a. I mean, I think that that is a win through something that didn't feel like a win in the moment, because I think that was the question I was going to ask you, that kind of like overarching as it started to unravel in that story. First of all, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay.
But
Thank you.
like, there's something about, it's like what I was saying about the Danny McBride thing. At the end of like, you work with people that you actually care about. And like, to me, it makes so much sense when you start to see almost like acting troops, or like almost like a theater company of filmmakers that make something together, and then they make the next thing together, and they make the next thing
Yeah.
together, and they stick together. Because I feel like there is so much uncertainty, because there are a ton of people doing this, but it does feel like every job is so like sought after, and the people that are making it definitely assume that it's very sought after for them, like, like their thing is the thing. And
Yeah.
so you attach these, like, again, expectations to it, but like ultimately being miserable doing what you love is not really going to make it something that you love anymore. So like, what is the breaking point? What's worth it? What's not? Because I've always heard there's power in saying no. And that's
Yeah.
so hard when most everything you hear is a preemptive no, before you even get the chance to say no yourself. But when you actually have the power to say, like, no, this one's just not, I want this stuff, but I don't want that one. And that's powerful, even
Yeah.
if it soul sucks.
Yeah, it was really, it was something I had to get on the phone with my manager about. I said, "Am I really in a position to say no to something right now? Like I
Yeah.
haven't worked like this in 2 years, and my heart is aching, aching to get
Hmm.
back into this work." And I'm exhausted, right? I'm
Yeah.
exhausted by the effort of it. I'm exhausted by the okay, now a 6-page audition just came in, and now my whole world is rocked for the next 2, 3 days until this is due. I have to
Hmm.
rearrange and change everything in my day so I can give everything that I can to this potential opportunity, only for it to more than likely not end up coming my way. The whole thing is very, very exhausting, and the thickness of the skin that is needed in order to maintain the drive to keep going. I mean, my need is so strong, which is why I'm still here in the rat race doing it all. And I think I can say the same thing for you, David. Like,
Yeah.
I do believe that we are incredibly talented individuals, and we're not being utilized for all of those talents every single day by the industry, right?
Yeah.
But we're still here.
Yeah. Yeah. I had an acting teacher at one point, I remember, that said, not one of our shared acting teachers, but another one that had said, like, when you start to hit, like, you hit 30 and you see all the people that like kind of just stop doing this, and then you hit 40 and you start to see the other people like kind of just stop doing this. And I've been dealing with that same, like kind of tug of war thing with myself of like how much, like, what's worth it, or in a career that is so hard to have control over anything, how do I maintain some form of control within this career that I'm trying to build?
Yeah.
And when it feels like you don't have a career because the career has to be sort of gifted to you, how do you
Yeah.
take some power within like what you're doing yourself? And I don't know for you, for me, that broke me during COVID, I think, more than anything else. And that's where all of this like sort of freight train of creative energy that I felt like was being pent up because I wasn't allowed to share it all. Because again, the line reading thing is another perfect kind of microcosm to me of this industry of be a spoke on the wheel. Here's your piece of this giant puzzle. Just do it and move on, in a bad version of work in this industry. And in the best version of work in this industry, you're surrounded by people who actually want your input and want your reading of a character that they wrote, because you saying the words
Yeah.
brings it to life in a way they never could have imagined. And even if their imagination is great, hearing someone else say those words wakes up. I know this from experience because like on Comic Book Club, having those kids words, I basically played casting director on that too. So that was this amazing sort of like flipping of the perspective of this whole thing, of seeing auditions come in and seeing how you can see it in the kids' eyes, like how much they want it and how much they want to do good. Like every single one of them did. But there were a couple people that said the words and it was just like, like it was like these things I wrote suddenly had these wings, and they were like,
Yeah.
they were their own little beautiful thing that was like beyond what I wrote on a page. And that, I think, was my click into like somehow or another, my creativity for me in this is not being fed by only trying to chase an audition and do the rat race of it all. Like my creative ambitions are only really like feeling like an itch that's getting scratched if I'm making stuff on my own. And what I had left was, I was a singer-songwriter when I moved here, in whatever, like level of success. That was like how I lived my life. Like I shared my thoughts through music, and like I was performing on stage as a musician. Like that was kind of like the defining thing of me. And I was like writing and creating stuff all the time, and then bringing it to a band and playing it with a band. And then you get here and you start to like, you get presented with these things. Like, here's this thing, like you said, like here's, 6 pages of dialogue that are this thing. And it was super fun because it was different for me. And it was like, I always wanted to be in film and television. Like that was like a dream. So it was sort of a new adventure, but that sort of killed the part of me that was making stuff on my own. So
Mm.
I think the beauty of like, for me, I haven't closed that circle because I still am just so tired of feeling poor all the time. And I don't know, going back to like talking about Julie Bowen with, like doing an IHOP commercial, like I would kill for an
Yeah.
IHOP commercial right now because I just want to pay my damn bills.
Yeah.
And that's really ultimately is like, you want this to be the version of the career that you sought, that was like glowing, and you get to do the things you believe in, and every role is like, this big juicy thing that you get to like sink your teeth into, and you feel better at the end because you've experienced something you wouldn't have experienced without this thing. And I think a lot of the times it's just not that. So for myself and my own mental health, it was just like, well, start to make stuff. And then I was, throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall with like different versions of different things. And I found something that lets me scratch that itch. While still I have that exact same thing of just being like, when is it ever going to be my turn, and the stuff that I also feel like I deserve and want, and all of the other things too. So I don't know, like I know it doesn't help, but you're not alone.
Yeah, it does help. Like I said, this is a wonderful space to be able to come back to and like
Yeah,
discuss all of these things and hear the perspective from somebody like yourself that I, you know, respect so much and am so inspired by. I have such a strong desire to take some creative control, and social media is the space that we are allowed and able to do that as creatives. And
yeah.
you really have, you're getting like really close to mastery, I would say,
Oh man, that's
in
nice. I don't know about
your,
that, but thank you.
no, I mean, I don't, I don't know how else to describe this journey that you're on in your content creation, because the consistency piece is the biggest piece I think that challenges a lot of creators from becoming, I don't, for lack of better terms, like viral sensations.
Sure.
But like you understand the need for the consistency, and you've been able to organize and um manage the calendar of consistency when it comes to your content creation. And you've become a very reliable creative in that space, and I have such a strong need and desire to be able to like share so much more of myself creatively in that space, and I just have not been able to find the time and the energy and the voice and the vision for exactly
Yeah.
which way that I want to take that. And you have been able to check all of those boxes, and it's so incredible to watch. It really
Oh,
really
thank you.
is.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's been it's a journey that continues, but it's weird though, because I'm bad at social media for myself. If I'm being honest, like what's funny is because I'm playing a character, it's way
Yeah.
easier to put that out there and do the thing. So like, I mean, I have the same thing. I look at normal social media, and it within my own feed, other than the food things we talked about earlier and the child chefs, it's there's a lot of like, I think everyone is trying to sell to the world, like you said, like I'm doing great, rather than like, sometimes this like this job sucks, and the job doesn't suck. That's the difference in what we do. Like, a lot of people have a 9 to 5, or like they have like a very consistent thing that like they're climbing a very, like whether it's a corporate ladder or it's like it's sort of a defined path, like where you teach and you start at a small school, and then you kind of like graduate to a bigger school, and then maybe you go to a higher grade or whatever. Like there's like linear things in so many jobs, and with ours, they're just, that doesn't exist, and
No.
the frustration is not getting to do the job more. So then people are like, well, get in a class, and which costs money, and then do this, which costs money, and takes time, and like you said, and then you get Sherman Showcase again, and then suddenly it's like you're so busy, but like the difference is it can satisfy some of it, but it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a constant, like I said, tug of war between wanting to creatively be fulfilled and also wanting to not go broke and have
Yeah.
to sell your body on OnlyFans or some shit like that. Because like
Totally.
I don't know, man. It's tough, and I hate to be like depressing to people watching, listening, whatever.
It's not
Um,
depressing, it's real. It's
it's real,
honesty. It's
and
truth, it's vulnerability. It's not depressing at all.
I do
I
think like
I
the oh go
I just don't think there's enough of people having these real conversations out there, which is, circling back to this social media stuff where it's like,
mm-hmm.
no, it's not always glitz and glamour. No,
Yeah,
there is so much grind to this life, and it's draining and it's hard, it's challenging, and it affects so many other elements of life. Like we can, we'll circle back to this again, but relationships, we touched on that
I
last
was gonna
week.
say, yeah,
Yeah, like that, I really truly feel like this life has absolutely impacted me and my relationship journey as well, because it's taken over my entire being, and I'm just
yeah,
not sure that I'm going to be able to love and give to another person until I am fulfilled in the journey here as a creative. I'm just not sure.
That balancing act, I think, is a topic we are definitely going to have to dive into probably next time, which
Yeah.
I think like, because to flip that for myself, finding a partner who, and I'm so grateful and I feel so lucky and so fortunate to have found somebody through a bunch of turmoil, like through, like just what was going on and being out here in a bad relationship and all of that kind of thing. And then like suddenly this thing presenting itself that like is a creative partner that also like fulfills life stuff, where it's not, your
Yeah.
life isn't all about, like Allie was one of the first people to me that, if she had a trip planned, like to whether it was going to see family or going to some exotic place or whatever it was, and a job came up, she would tell the job, no, I'm going to do the thing. And that was so foreign to me when we met, because
Right.
to me, everything has always been about like, you clear your
Sacrifice.
calendar. If there is anything that even presents itself as a breadcrumb of a maybe, you clear your calendar, so that, because everybody has to understand how important this is. Like, oh my God, I might be on the next Netflix series. Like, oh my God, I might be on a movie, like, blah, blah, blah. And that frenetic, like, energy of just please, like, give me the opportunity to do the thing I love. I promise I will, whatever, made me never have like solid plans. I missed friends'
Yeah.
weddings. I missed like stuff because like I felt like I had to always be here at everyone's beck and call. And again, to the power
Yes.
of saying no being powerful.
Yeah.
And also like the power of a good relationship that can balance out. I think like it's very easy to spin, and I know this from when I have been by myself too. It's like it's easy to spin out on all the stuff that you're struggling with right now in terms of like where you were versus where you are, and getting to the next thing, and then having that bad experience with all of that. Like, I think relationships and how you nurture them, cultivate them, keep them in this space with this version of a career is something that not only you have, struggle with the relationship between those things. I think
Yeah.
so many people do. And I think that there's insight to be gained from where you're at versus insight to be gained with where I'm at. Not that either one is right or wrong, but I
Yeah.
do think that that is something that just naturally we got to dig into for these therapy sessions for ourselves and for the greater public, because that's real.
Agreed.
It's real.
Agreed. Wow,
Well,
my friend, tell me
that's
something
an
good
hour.
before we
Yeah,
bounce
let's
out
do
of
that real
here.
quick. What do I have good? I took it upon myself to completely redesign the Swirsky merch store, and I haven't launched it to the general public yet, but I did a whole bunch of design.
It's beautiful, y'all. It's
I had
beautiful.
4 shirts before with the other version, and it was so frustrating because they didn't have like, I could never see what was being sold. They were really slow at paying me, and so I went on this huge journey with learning how to build my own store through Shopify and through another company that my friend John, shout out to John, he was like, you should use this thing, Printful. It's sort of the same thing, but it's a bigger company and you can do more stuff. I now have 110 designs on the website now that I just designed over
Wild.
the course of the last week. I did a Chicago Pope song, and then ever since then I've been building this website, and it's exciting because the design of my logo that I drew by hand, we were in Chicago and Allie was wearing the sweatshirt that had that logo when I was getting ready to go do the news. And a barista at Starbucks was like, where'd you get that shirt? And again, it was just like this kind of like, okay, so this has legs beyond just my Bears stuff too. So I made a ton of iterations of my Stash and Shades logo that are in different colors. I'm leaning into stuff. So yeah, so that's hopefully the win that like, it again wakes up a different version of creativity, which I think is something else
Yes.
too, kind of going into what we're talking about, that I have like, I can dabble in these other adjacent things to the creative energy of acting or whatever it is, because I can draw too. And I have all these other things. So that's my good. We'll hope it leads to some revenue and some, new doors opening too. Cause I think it will let me do brand deals too without having Bears gear. Cause now I have my gear. So I can actually
Cool.
transform this whole space into Dave Swirsky super fan with blue and orange, but like my logo, my hats versus, because that's been a sort of hiccup so far with brand deals, is like the bears, I can't really be
Mm,
like bears. So even when I did
got
DraftKings, I
it.
just had to wear blue. So I had to take everything down. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
wow.
have my own Swirsky posters and like my own shirts, my own hats. Like there's so much stuff. So
I'm gonna
that's my
need to
good.
get me a something. I need to get
I
me a
I
Swirsky
appreciate
something.
I appreciate any support I get. I hope that people find stuff they like because now I can offer so many more things. The options are way more. So thank you to everybody who does support that. What's your good?
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to go to Vegas next week. I One of my survival jobs is I've been a cycling instructor for 10 years, and I'm teaching 8, sometimes 9 classes a week right now, and I
Whew.
get to give my body a little bit of a break next week, and I'm going to be out of town, so I won't be teaching. Just teaching a couple classes on the beginning and the end of the week, but I'm very excited to give my body a little break. But I also wanted to let our 4 listeners know
Yeah,
that we had a really awesome impromptu throw together photo shoot. David and
sure
I are
did.
often in a different space, still in LA, but we film from our respective pods. And we finally got together and we made a really wonderful photo shoot come to life. And we're really excited to like dive a little bit deeper into our social media
Hmm.
with this new content. And we'll be editing some more clips very soon. So our social media is going to get a little bit of a rebirth very, very soon. And that is really good and exciting for me.
Yeah, this has presented a really cool, again, adjacent thing that is like it feeds the beast in some very specific way that like nothing else does. And so for me, like that, it's not just having stuff to do. It's having stuff to do that actually makes you feel good when you're doing it and feel good when you're
Yes.
done and feel like even like today I was like, I had so many things going before we did this. I like walked in, I was like, I just got out of the shower and blah, blah. But like it gives like this and the new way that we're doing this. I know it doesn't look as good as when we had the set and we'll get back to some form of that. But for now, this presents an opportunity to do this in a fit it into your life way that is
Yeah.
like accessible and really does allow us to have these good conversations and to keep building this. So, and we only get to keep building it if people keep listening. So thank you to people who are choosing to listen to this and hang out with us and offer feedback. Again, I keep getting really great comments from friends and family that have said that they've
I
checked it out
love
and
that.
they love the conversation. So we'll just keep it going.
Yay. Yes.
Yeah.
So new social media stuff coming for us as well, but we've just
Yep.
been kind of getting our feet wet again with this new format, and we're having a great time. And it was really nice to see David in person again. And our
I
photos
know.
are so cute.
It
Wait
was
for it,
awesome.
y'all.
Yeah,
Wait
no,
for it.
we had some good stuff. And that was just the first one. That was playing with a new camera. It's going to
I
be even better next
know.
time.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, David. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank
And
you.
thanks
You
to everyone who
too.
is watching, listening, and all of the above. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.